Cool. So welcome everyone. I'm here with one of our clients, Gina, who's been training with us for quite a while now, and she's been she's had some really fantastic results overall, and she feels that one of the key elements to that has been the intermittent fasting. I might even show you guys a picture so that you can see a little bit of a before and after with Gina. So this was Gina a couple of years back. This is Gina now. So you can see that she's had a fantastic transformation. The intermittent fasting isn't all of it. Gina's done a lot of different things, but it has been, a key part of it, in Gina's own words. But anyway, I'm going to just take Gina through a few different questions just to give you guys a little bit of an insight so you can perhaps see from someone that you can relate to. So how are you, Gina?
I'm good. Thank you, Rob.
That's good. Very good. So Gina, what do you feel, I guess, what made you decide to get started with the intermittent fasting, and what inspired you to give it a go in the first place?
Well, I think a couple of years ago, I gave it a little bit of a go, but then COVID sort of hit it. The timing probably wasn't that great. So,
Yep.
When we first went into lockdown, it wasn't the sort of time to start doing any great fitness routine or anything. It certainly wasn't me. So I guess I picked it up again probably at the end of 2022, beginning of 2023.
Yes.
And I've always sort of known about it in the background, but I've been plugging away at getting other things right. So I was looking at, the diet and the exercise and just having some really good habits and stacking on my habits.
Yes.
But then throwing intermittent fasting into it, probably because of that, when we went on the transformation program and into the retreat, it was one of the things that we talked about. So it was probably combined with a bit of that. And I just found, for me, I came from that background thinking you had to have 3 meals a day, you had to, and you snack throughout the day. Whereas now I'm learning that that's not the case at all. And my body burns more in the morning. So I'm a really morning person. I get up early and I have a coffee, and that's the only thing I have. And I don't eat until about like 12:30. So whereas I've always eaten breakfast and, so I found for me it was just a real change because my body is burning off all of the things and I haven't eaten since yesterday. So, or last night, like the night before. So my body seems to work better that way. I never would have imagined.
And how do you feel like when you do that? So what time would you finish eating in the evening the night before?
Oh, no later than 7 o'clock.
Okay. So you're going pretty much from 7 o'clock. Obviously, you're going to be sleeping most of that time, and then you're going to stretch it right through to about 12:30 next day. And do you feel like that during that waking time from the morning to 12:30, do you feel hungry? Do you feel like your energy level? Do you feel like lethargic or tired or anything like that?
No, I don't feel hungry at all. So, which is, I don't know whether that's just because you learn to, I don't know what it is, but I don't feel hungry at all. When I eat, when I eat at lunchtime, I eat, but because I'm breaking the fast and I've done my food prep, so I have got food that I know is already going to be healthy and nutrient dense and all of those things which I'm learning about. Now I'm having a really great meal and I really enjoy it. Like it becomes a real enjoyment. So I don't feel hungry. The coffee helps, I think, with that too. I don't do anything else. I train, I do my walks in the morning. I'm busy in the morning preparing for the day. Even at work, I'm busy in the morning. So I find that because of that busyness, it sort of fulfills the day. And then when I have my first break to have something to eat, it becomes like a bit of a celebration, really. I've done all the things in the morning. So I sort of combine it with, I guess a gratefulness around like you've gotten through the morning and now you're having a nice meal.
Yep.
And then I generally only eat again at dinner, 5:30 or something.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And And so, what sort of, I guess, benefits and changes have you noticed in your body in terms of body composition, your energy levels, just your health overall, relating specifically to the intermittent fasting?
I just don't feel as lethargic. So I don't feel heavy. I feel light.
Yep.
Um, I know that I'm much. I just know that I feel much healthier, and I don't feel bloated. Like I always had a bloating around me, and
Yes.
I guess because I'm not having high carb foods either. Like
Yep.
I'm not sort of those complex starchy carbs.
Hmm.
But even if I do have every now and then, like, and I still do have a little bit of rice sometimes,
Yep.
I just don't find that I just don't feel heavy. So I feel
Hmm.
quite light.
Yep.
If I ever have a little snack, it's usually just a couple of almonds, which I just keep. I literally just keep them in little containers on my desk.
Yeah.
I feel hungry, I just grab some of that, and then that gets me. That gets me through. If I don't want to eat anything else, so
Yep.
I just feel much healthier and not tired. I never feel tired, which is amazing.
Yep. So do you feel that like having that window of time where you're not putting food in your digestive system, that it feels like quite that you feel a bit lighter, but more so that your body's not having to process that food, and it gives it an opportunity to do other things?
Yeah, I do think that that's the case. And what I probably have noticed most of all is that the actual fat on my body is less. So I
Yes.
feel, and I'm actually getting more muscle. And that's because I'm obviously training in weights as well. But I always felt quite not only bloated but soggy and fabby.
Yep.
Whereas
Yep.
now I'm much leaner
Yes.
and quality of the food. And again, it's only a couple of meals a day that I have to think about. Whereas I think I
Yep.
was quite overwhelmed with thinking of you got to
Yes.
have the day and you've got to have all these snacks and you
Yep.
should have fruit, these things. Now I don't think about that. I have two things to think about, which combined with my busy role is
Yep.
really good. Okay, and if I've got eggs, I always have eggs. That's something I always have,
Yep.
and really leafy, and so it's just and it fills me up, and it tastes really good. Like
Yes.
it definitely tastes better.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, once you've had a bit of a break from eating, you almost appreciate the flavors
Yeah,
also. And do you feel that from a lifestyle perspective that it's convenient, that it's time efficient, that you don't have, it's an extra meal that you don't have to think about, and I mean, it's cheaper. You don't have to eat as much
that's
because
right.
you're skipping a whole meal, and especially I think when you're occupied, like you said, you're doing work and you're not having to stop to eat and do things like that. It can actually make the fasting part easier when your mind's occupied. You don't want to be too busy, like you don't want to be stress busy, but if you're occupied and doing things, do you
Yeah, no,
feel that that helps with the fasting window?
yeah, I think it does, and also like if I do a really big walk, like I just have the coffee, and I
Yep.
just find that I've got so much more energy. So
Hmm.
it's opposite of what I used to think you had to do. You
Yes.
know, I used to think
Yep.
you had to in order to have energy, and I
Yeah.
still hear people say to me, "Oh, you really make sure you should have some food before you go for your walk. I wouldn't be able to survive." I go, I
Yes.
haven't, and I sometimes eat until 2 or 3 o'clock, but I
Yep.
don't feel hungry, and I feel like my body's still burning like an engine,
Yes.
and which is so good, and I can feel that actually it burns off it really
Yep.
quick, and I've never felt like that ever.
Yes. Yeah, I
Always
agree. I agree.
like,
Yep.
mm,
Yeah, I noticed when I first started fasting, about 10 years ago or however long it was. And I was the same. I came from that same mentality where that bodybuilding world where it's you need to eat constantly, small meals, keep the fires of metabolism burning.
yeah.
And thought that, yeah, I always have to eat before I do a workout or, some sort of physical activity. And it
Oh,
was really surprising for me that, yeah, like I actually had more energy training than if I had eaten. The eating makes you a bit
yeah,
sluggish and diverts
exactly.
energy to your digestion.
Exactly. And I think though, if you do eat those heavy carb meals, though, you do
Yep.
tend to feel more sluggish. Whereas if you don't, if you just have like the protein with something green or just
Yes.
eggs, almonds, it's still you don't feel hungry, and also you don't feel tired.
Yep.
So I think that's the difference.
Yes.
Combined intermittent fasting and just those sort of the meals are like denser as nutrients that you're giving your body,
Yes. Yep.
mostly and mostly all that greeny sort of carbs,
Yep.
or some chia seeds or something like that with the coconut cream, or with some tomato, like with some strawberries or something like that. It
Yes.
just fills you up. It just
Yep.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's a really important point to share with everyone, that intermittent fasting, it's not a magic bullet. Quite often people, they want a magic bullet. Unfortunately, you still have, when you are eating, you have to eat the right food still.
You do.
And like you said, that nutrient dense food is so important. And the lower refined carbs and sugars, more non-starchy leafy greens, and having quality food in the window of time where you are eating. And Gina, do you do it every single day, or do you have a cycle? There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. I'm wondering how
Yeah,
you structure it.
I tend to do it more during the week,
Yep.
because I've got a routine Monday to Friday.
Yes.
But if I am hungry, like if I do wake up hungry though, I don't make myself just do that. I go, oh, well,
Yep.
today actually, or if I've got a meeting, I've got to go somewhere, I've got to do something different, I will change it, because I still want to make sure I'm eating the right food and not get caught out somewhere.
Yes.
So, but
Yep.
as a general rule, yes, it's mostly Monday to Friday I do it.
Yep.
Um, but in saying that, sometimes on a Saturday, if I'm doing a big walk, I'll only maybe even have one meal that day
Yep.
and a little snack.
Yes.
So then on my other day, I look at that as I will have a lovely breakfast. I might go out sort of for a nice breakfast.
Yep.
And then if I'm doing some cooking, I'll have a couple of meals, and then I'm doing all the food prep, which I try to do on a Sunday. So as a general rule, I would say I have my Monday to Friday plan, but
Yes.
I'm not going to be obsessed by that.
Yep.
I
Yep.
also,
I love
oh no,
that.
I'm out for lunch today, or I'm going to.
Yep.
So I don't become completely as obsessed, but as a bit of a plan, I give myself Monday to Friday, and
Yes.
then Saturday, if I'm going to do a really big walk, it might just be one meal,
Mhm.
and then on Sunday I might do three as a general.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think not being too rigid and being flexible and allowing it to fit your lifestyle, makes it easier to do it like on a longer term basis, like to make it a permanent part of your life. Sometimes people get a little bit too rigid, and they hear this, oh, 16/8, I have to do it exactly 16 hours, and so 16 hours of not eating and then eat within an 8-hour window. And I have to do it every single day, and it, it doesn't always work. Like, depending on, like you said, you might like to go out for a breakfast or something on the weekend, and
Got to
something
work.
social.
It's got to actually work with your
It
lifestyle. So
does.
I like to make sure, because I like to have a lifestyle that allows me to do some other things, and I think
Yep.
you've got to be kind to yourself too. Like there are days where you're actually feeling a bit more hungrier than others. So allow yourself to do that, but just don't do that every day.
Yep.
I used to be one of those people that would go, oh, well, I've broken it now. I've stuffed it, and
Mhm.
there's no chance I'm going to get this weight off. And I would just go back to old habits. Whereas this way, I only give
Yep.
myself that, a couple of days where I'm thinking it's okay. It's okay to be flexible, because I'm going out or do this, or I'm catching up with friends, or I'm going to see family, or it's Easter and it's Christmas, or whatever those things are.
Yeah. And do you ever use the fasting? I know that sometimes I do. Like you said, Christmas or Easter or something where perhaps you've had like a social event, and you just, how sometimes you just, we all do it, we overeat and you feel stuffed. And I know that sometimes I'll actually deliberately time a longer fast after that the next day, just to give my body the opportunity to process everything and just to clean out my digestive system completely. Do you ever do anything like that, Gina?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do that. I did that because I've been away visiting my parents, and so I I was eating with them. So, and my dad actually asked me to cook some things that he knows that I like,
Yeah.
that he likes that I cook. So, I had some things. So all I've done is when I've come back, like yesterday, I had a day where I didn't eat a lot at all. So I gave myself a bit of an opportunity to sort of like get back to my normal place.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. I love that. And what advice would you give someone who, we've got a number of people that are going to be watching this who have, maybe they've just heard intermittent fasting, don't know anything about it, or some of them know a little bit about it and are sort of thinking about maybe giving it a go. Is there any advice that you would have for a beginner starting out?
I'd probably like work out the foods that you really like the things that you know that you really like to eat that fit all those guidelines that are nutrients. So if it's salads or if it's like broccoli, and like if you like those things, have plenty of those and like have lots of them. So I would say like so you don't feel like you're missing out. You're just going to get a lot of that really good healthy food and make them your meals. So treat
Yes.
yourself to those and
Yeah.
have something that has like strong taste, if you like I know I like strong taste. But just trial it, like get to, and also be kind to yourself in that little first while, like the
Yes.
brain sometimes, because you get a little bit of that brain fog as you're taking a
Mhm.
lot of carbs out. I would just be a little bit kind and give yourself a week and then see how you feel, but I'll probably even reflect, like make yourself a little diary on how. But I would think those three things: know what you really like to eat and treat yourself to the really good, healthy things, and
Yes.
just plan ones out and
Yep.
do a week first, and just be a bit, just be kind to yourself. That's probably what I would suggest.
And do you think that with the fasting window, do you think it's best, like, did you start with a smaller window and gradually build up how long you went out without food?
Um, I don't know if I did do that. I think it was probably more organic for me.
Mhm.
Just been listening to my body, because I think it can be a little bit sort of, if you become too structured and too rigid, it
Mhm.
does allow you to be a bit gentle. And I think by the time you get to this age, it's like, I've been really rigid and well, that didn't work for me. So
Yep.
now I'm going to work in and listening to my own body
Yeah. Okay.
and my own goals. So I probably didn't have a method like that. I've just
Mhm.
learned now to listen to my own body rather than what other people's bodies do, because they're all different.
Yes.
Shame
Yep.
it's taken a long time to work it out.
Yeah, that's right. It could take a lifetime.
It takes a lifetime. Yeah.
But it's a never ending learning process, isn't that? But
Yeah,
so,
but
so would
when
you
you,
say that so when you started, did you sort of, I guess, skip breakfast and then just go as long as felt right for you, whether it's 10 o'clock, 11, 12, and then over time, some days you might feel like a bit of a longer one. And then
yeah,
I guess over time, you've sort of settled roughly around that 12:30. That feels about right for you.
so I think I just go see, I was testing myself a little bit, I guess, see how much
Mhm.
further I could go. But then there are some days where it's like 10 o'clock and I'm really hungry. So I'm
Yes.
thinking it's 10 o'clock. Like you can
Yeah.
have something at 10 o'clock,
Yep.
whereas it's been up since 5 or something. So, I probably have done that. And the longest I've been is to like 3 o'clock or something. And I didn't feel really, really hungry. So
Mhm.
it's what you can become accustomed to,
Yep.
and not slowing your body down. You're actually, in fact, speeding it up.
Yes.
And I think, like one of the things I've learned is like I've gone through menopause too. My body has changed,
Yes.
so I don't need as much food.
Yep.
Just don't need as much food. So I had to stop eating food
Yes.
because the brain still thinks I'm 25,
Yep.
but the body.
Body, not so much. Yeah, look, and that's a really good point actually, in that it can be really difficult once if you're trying to cut calories and you're trying to eat smaller in each meal, but you're still eating, the same amount of meals, that can be a lot more challenging than actually skipping a whole meal and just eating intuitively till you feel like you've had enough food. Obviously, not overeating, but also not undereating. And you're just eating within that smaller window of time. So you're still eating till you're satiated and feel, good. But you're not having to, really restrict how much food you're eating at each meal, which can be very challenging if you're under eating.
That's right. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, thank you for your time, Gina. I think this will it'll be a good little insight for some of our clients to just hear from someone else similar to themselves who's had some real success with intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to run a challenge in about a week or so. So, for the people that want to give this a go, you're welcome to join in the group, and we'll have some more education and material, and hopefully explain it and make it a little bit, more, just give you the info that you need to be able to, the tools that you need to be able to do this and give it a go. And maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't, but I think it's well worth a try anyway.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Rob.